Black Country Xtra.
We're back. Welcome to Nostalgia and Comedy on Black Country Xtra. I'm Dave Dinsdale. Welcome to the wonderful world of Dinsey. With me in the studio we have our comedy connoisseur and roving reporter, Paul Jennings.
Hello, my lovely people.
And we have our very special guest, Mr. Entertainment from Telford, Roger Swift.
Hello.
Excellent. So we'll be playing the old adverts later. We're going to spend a lot of time talking to Roger. What we normally do is we tend to go off on a tangent and then spend about 3 minutes interviewing the person who actually bothered to turn up in the studio. This time we will actually interview the guest properly. However, to start off, I was in the massage parlour the other day and I was speaking with Mary Parks of Rowley Regis, and she said, why is it you never play any Eddie Collington? Well, Eddie Collington is a stand-up comedian, not known very much in the local areas, actually from Liverpool. He's over 20 stone, which influences his work. So here's a clip from 1982, Eddie Collington.
Can I just say, David, she was having her hair done this week in Julie's.
Really?
Really, yeah.
Oh, not in the massage parlour? Was it for the massage parlour?
Probably had a massage after, but she certainly had her hair done because it was all like quiffed. Yeah, she looked lovely. I said, you do look lovely. I'm going to tell Dave when I see you.
You can't beat a nice quiff. It's been years since I've had a quiff, I tell you.
Here we go then.
How's me twink? Eddie Collington.
Oh, I'm not kidding you. I've had murder with her tonight. No, I'm sat in our house here. She's doing me tea in the back kitchen. Next minute, hey, you. That's my other name, by the way. I said, what do you want? She says, I want you, come here. I says, what for? She says, I want you, come here. I says, what for? She says, I want. I said, I'm not coming unless you tell me what you want. She says, I want you to make love to me. I says, why pick on me, like? She says, I want to time this egg. I settle for the toast. Nothing worse than a runny egg, is there? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is a problem when you're overweight. Because don't pull the birds anymore. I've squashed a few in me time, like So I went into Burton's, a tailor's. So you got to fit me off the peg? He said, certainly. Try this tie on.
Black Country Xtra.
You're listening to the Nostalgia and Comedy Show with Dave Dinsdale and Paul Jennings on Black Country Xtra. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Entertainment from Telford, Roger Swift.
Hello, is it me you're looking for?
For anybody who doesn't know Roger, he has a very unique act. It's puns and whatever, puns and props. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your own act?
I describe it as completely mental, actually, from a third person's point of view.
So how did the act come about?
Well, I used to have a friend. It sounds like a setup for one of my jokes, but I used to have a friend, and we used to sit around and watch loads of stand-up. Well, we were into children's cartoons and stand-up comedy. That was the two things we used to watch, and we used to watch clips from what was it called then? Paramount Comedy. It's now Comedy Central, and it was clips from the Comedy Store, and we were watching loads of. It was on about 11 o'clock each night, and we just sit watching clips of people doing stand-up. And then one night I said to my mate, you notice none of them ever talk about music festivals. I was like, none of them's ever gone, hey, you know what happens when you're at a music festival? We used to go to music, that was another thing. We were music festival buddies, and then we were into that as well. And then he just says to me, well, maybe there's no mileage in that. Maybe that's why they've never done it. And so he said, you do it. If you think there's a mileage in that particular topic, go for it. So I went and I said, all right, I will. So at the time, I only wasn't comedy savvy, so I only really knew Lee Evans, really, was in the famous ones. So I was like, okay, how would Lee Evans do this topic if it was just a man Lee Evans show? Yeah. And then I wasn't just trying to mimic how he'd do that topic. And then I wrote this 5-minute bit and then repeated it back to him, as if in the style of Lee Evans. And he's like, you know what, that's actually not bad. That's actually quite funny what you got there. He said, go and give it a go at a comedy night. And I was like, no, I ain't doing that. I'm scared. It's shitless. And he was like, sorry, can you edit that? It would scare me. It would scare me a lot. I wouldn't do that. I'd be petrified. So I went and did it. So he found it. He went and said, "Oh, find where the local like open mic comedy is." Which he then Googled it for me, and he said, "I've come back. There's a place called the Holly Bush in Cradley Heath that let anyone."
Good
on."
Lord.
Yeah.
You started there too?
Yep. So he just said that's where they let anyone on, apparently. Anyone can have a go. He said, put yourself on, give it a go. So I was like, oh, go on then. So booked it in, and then message. Well, I think I rang him actually. I think back then it wasn't email. I think it was Wolf. I didn't know him. I just said, can I have a spot? And he's like, I'll check the diary. And it was like weeks away. I was like, yeah, okay. And then we went down there to do it. And I've still got the video because he had like a really early camera phone. It was like really, it's like the audio is almost unlistenable on it, but I've still kept it. And he's filming me from the back of the room and I had a SpongeBob SquarePants t-shirt on. I remember that. And I just went on and tried doing this set. And it got some laughs, even though it was my first gig. I was doing the stuff and I thought, and then as I came off stage, I got about 4 or 5 laughs during the 5-minute set. And I was like, I like this. That actually was quite a nice buzz, having people laugh at random stuff I've been saying. And then where this is leading is that I thought, all right, I want to do some more. So I went and found some. I then dug in and went, where's the other one? It was Juice at Stafford was my second one, and I found. I thought, oh, there was a nearer one, and he didn't. And he at the time, but and then I went and did that, and then I thought, oh, I need to do. And they said, oh, you can have 10 minutes at this one. And I thought, oh, have I got to write 10 minutes? And I've only got 5, so I went, oh, I'll try and write some more.
It's a long 10 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't know. I just assumed it was always 5. Like a lot of newbies now come along. We get onto that who want to do 20 in their first show, but I only had like 5 minutes. No. I thought, oh, so I thought, I've got to do 10. I didn't know you could just keep it and do 5. I thought you've got to do 10. So I was trying to come up with some new stuff, and then that's where the organic or origins of what I do now came about. Is I was trying to come up with ways of, well, that's a long bit there, or I take ages to get to a punchline. It needs something there, so I just came up with like what I now prop puns and just like really corny one-liners. I just started ramming some in the 10-minute set, and I remember an early one was just where I pick up a leaf and just turn it over and go, oh, I just turned over a new leaf, and then chuck it to the side. That was one of them.
Roger, you just said something that 2 things you just said there, right? You said you took too long to get to the punchline.
Yeah, I felt I was taking too long to get to the punchline.
So what you're saying is you started using props to sort of break it all up.
It was to sort of mask the fact that I thought, even early on, I went, oh, Lee Evans gets more laughs than that quicker. I need to get to it. It's taking too long. I watched the tape back of the first one. I had a minute there where I didn't get a laugh. I need something in the middle of the story.
That's interesting, because have you read Frank Skinner's autobiography?
The first or the second?
I haven't actually.
Oh, no, come on. The one where he's wearing, it looks like he's wearing dog slippers, but actually he's got 2 dogs in front of him on the front. That's his first book, I think.
I haven't read it now. So
he talks about the art of comedy, and we're all different. He said it's a bit like a drunk walking down a dark street at night between lampposts, and the punchlines are the lampposts, and your job is just to get to the next lamppost. Yep.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
And secondly, how good a mate was your mate?
Well, I don't really see much anymore. Because
the reason I asked, he said, he used the expression, go on the Holly Bush, they'll have anybody on there.
No, because I think the first few we contacted were like, oh, I didn't understand at the time, but I now know we're professional bills. Right. And I was like, oh, and then he just kept going until he found one that, like, is this like for anyone? Can they just, anyone, even if it's a guy and his mate on his first gig? And he just, I don't know how, he just Googling it and eventually found the West Midlands Comedy Forum as was then, I think is where he found it.
Well, that is a good point, because we've discussed this many times, that by 2006 there were really only 2 gigs going. One was the Holly Bush, run by Wolfie in Cradley Heath. The other one, as you said, was Juice, in Stafford, run by our friends Rob Halden and Neil Redding. And that was quite difficult to get on, because if he didn't know you, he wouldn't reply to emails. And he's always claimed he didn't do that deliberately, but I think I got in touch and I got nothing. But I offered to drive Johnny Sorrow, because Johnny Sorrow was not driving. And it's quicker for me to drive than him getting there on the train and walking to the gig.
So you got-
And on the
yeah,
back of that,
you
that's
got it.
how I managed
Yeah.
to get in with
Well,
Juice.
I just said I just it's my second ever gig, and for some reason that works. You just seem to want newer ones. I went, oh, I've only done one. This is my second one.
So what other gigs were available at the time?
I think they were the only two at that moment in time that I could get on.
Yeah.
I mean, without going further afield, I didn't obviously want to go ridiculously far. I could have gone to London or something like that. I wasn't going
So
to do
did you do the East Midlands scene?
And afterwards, it was then I started finding out where other ones was, and would start go further afield. Then I started doing Spiky Mike Gons. And,
Yeah.
but that's how it came about. But then it evolved because I said I was trying to do these prop puns in amongst them. And I think I met you quite early on about the 10th. I came back and did the bush again for about my 10th because I couldn't get any more. And I think, if my memory completely...
I'm sure, did we meet on the 4th, your 4th
I
gig?
think it was about the 4th or 5th because I had to go back to the bush again because I couldn't get
And
one.
I was running the public at West Bromwich at the time.
And you booked me for that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of prop puns in it then. It was sort of... it was
You
more...
didn't, you had 2 suitcases.
I had I definitely did one with like a toolbox. I had a toolbox at first where I had like 4 or 5 props in it. And I remember early gags was the leaf, and I used to have one. I don't do this anymore because it never got a laugh. But I used to have a Nintendo Wii remote. I just pull it out and go wee. But no one seems to get that reference anymore.
Well, one of us does. So
Yeah, at the time, it's a bit dated now. That was one of the early ones. And I was just, and then and then I was doing a gig about, again, it might have been the second Juice one, I think, and I was doing it, and I by that point I started putting more in. There was quite a few little prop puns. I had like a picture or something. I was doing something with a picture at the time,
Yeah.
and it was Neil Reading who took me to one side and he said, "Saw your first one, and I won't lie, you were awful." He said, "I saw you now." He said, "And right." He said, "Have you heard?" And his Neil Reading, I remember that. He said, "Have you heard of Tim Vine?" I said, "Who's Tim Vine?" He said, "Well, what he is he's a stand-up comedian, but all he does is tell puns and one-liners. There's no stories, he just goes on, just goes pun, 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 and he uses a few props as well. You don't realise you've got like 10, 12 Tim Vine gags in your set,
Yeah.
and you don't realise it. So my advice is, drop the stories, drop all that, and just go on and just try and do what he does, but in your own style. Just go bang, 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 one-liner, pun, pun, pun."
Yeah.
And like he said, it's funny if you do it machine gun. I was like, you can do that? I thought that was kind of, you couldn't do that. And then he said, go and watch Tim Vine. So I went into a Blockbusters, remember them? I went into a Blockbuster and rented DVD, because back then DVD still was quite expensive, not the worthless tat it is now. And we're talking 10, 12 years ago. And then rented his DVD and watched him. And that was kind of an epiphany moment. I was like, oh, you can take Christmas cracker jokes to this level? You can take like an hour of just one. I thought, how many has he got? He's going to run out in a minute. How is he going to keep doing this for an hour? And then watched that. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand what Neil's... No, I've got 10... I don't know. I've got 10 gags like that in there. So I went, right, let's try it. So I just got a bit of paper and said, let's have a go. If I can just do that, just go...
So what is your inspiration?
So essentially it was Tim Vine, watching a Tim Vine thing, and I went, yeah, I can, maybe that will work for me. What I'm doing and what I'm doing now. So, and then I stopped for about 3 months. I didn't gig for 3 months. Well, I was like going around charity shops and Poundland, going like, what could I need 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes. I need to try and write 10.
Well, I was going to say that. So you don't write the gag and then try and find the prop. You go around the charity shops and
at the
seek
time,
the inspiration.
that was what I was doing at the time. These days, it's more the opposite. I now more think of the thing and then go and find the prop.
Yeah.
But at the
Is that
time,
because you're more confident?
because I'm more confident. Yeah. Now, at the time, I was just picking anything in like toys and going, what can I do with that? And what can I do with that? There's a pun. Is there a word play? And I was going around the Poundland and charity shops trying to do it. And eventually, I managed to scrape about 10 minutes worth of, and I got it. And I remember some of them were awful. Like I'm trying to remember some of them that back then, it was like a toy bird, and I was like, I can't remember what it was, but I was like trying to do something with a toy bird, and it didn't really work. But hardly any of them jokes from that first 10 minutes. There's like 1 or 2 still in it now.
Did you find yourself, if you were sitting down at somebody's house or sitting down anywhere, looking at various objets d'art and thinking,
Yeah, I'd find things around the house. I had like but I was like looking at where I was at work at the time. I was picking things up, going, and then pun things. It doesn't quite work like that. Now it's the opposite. Now I think of things and then go, oh, I need a prop for that, and then the prop will appear in my mind, and I'll have to try and find it. So, but that's how it came about. And then I managed to get 10 minutes ago enough. I got enough to do 10 minutes of it. Went to the Bush again, booked in. I said, oh, I came a few months ago. That would have been my third one. and tried it. Just went on with by that point I had a near enough, like a little suitcase full of them, and I've still got that video as well. But my head's cut off from where the camera was, and I went on and just tried it. And I think you were in the audience. I think, if I recall, I think you might have been the compere that night. Yeah. Again, I think it was the second or third time we met, and it worked. It came together, and I went, yeah, this is for me. This is the style. And then it was Al Rudge who actually said, try an Hawaiian shirt, because at the time I still wasn't. He said, I had like a bright Hawaiian shirt would suit you.
Which you are wearing now.
No, I'm wearing the gear now. I wouldn't wear this, by the way. I only wear this in character, and I'm doing that with my fingers. I wouldn't actually...
So are you in character now?
Well, I use the word in persona.
Are we going to do who is the real Roger Swift later on?
No. If I'm talking about comedy, if I'm doing comedy or talking about it, I wear this. I mean, I actually wouldn't go around wearing one of these in the street, because it's not my thing. But
wouldn't go down in Telford.
No, but it suits the whole character. In fact, when I'm promoting and not performing, I don't wear one. But no.
So would you say there are two Roger Swifts?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
There's Roger Swift, the persona on stage, which is a lot of me. I'm not saying that there's a lot of me in that. Just I play up to it and exaggerate it. But then there's Roger Swift, the person who's... I mean, we're both complete losers.
Well, we've talked many times about finding your voice. So how long would you say it took you to find your voice? And how long would you say it took you to refine the act into something that you'd be prepared to put on a professional bill?
Well, I mean, to find my voice, I say it took me... I gigged about 10, and then I stopped for 3 months. But then I pretty much got the voice when I tried that, more or less. I thought, that's it. That's the voice. That's my style. To get it down to an act where I think it's on a professional level. I mean, I'm still not sure, but after 10 years. But no. I'd say it took about another 3 years before I finally got. I think I.
That's a long time.
Yeah, because I still hadn't quite got a good opening one. Because I cringe at what I had as an opening one. I come on with a ginger wig on and go, I know what you're thinking. Mick Hucknall's let himself go. I mean, I did that for the first 3 years. I wouldn't do that now because that's such a boring trope. But everyone's done.
And
that.
who's Mick Hucknall now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it took me a while until I eventually came up with the ones I got now, which is what I do is I come out with a coat with apples stuck all over it, a pair of you can't see what they are. It's part of the joke. I've got like two goggles, like workman's goggles, like plastic goggles you buy in a hardware shop with something stuck on them. That's the reveal, and then other things all stuck all over me, and then it all comes off, and then. I won't say what the gag is, because in case anyone ever who listens to this comes and sees me. But I've got, they're all gags, and then that's the first few. But I didn't. That took 3 years until I went. Yeah, that's the first few there. That sort of sets the tone of it all.
Well, I did one with you it was a snooker hall in Stourbridge.
Oh yes,
and it was on a Saturday evening, so it's a fairly testosterone heavy audience. It's in a sports bar
for Frankie Peoples, wasn't it?
For Frankie Peoples, and at 6 o'clock they turned the televisions off.
Yeah.
Who were still broadcasting final score and going, well, this is going to go well, and they said, right, we're going to put the comedy on now.
Yeah, I remember
this is going to be an absolute car crash.
Yep, I remember.
And he introduced you by saying, he said, you won't have seen this act before. You probably won't have seen anybody like him before. You might not get it. But what I suggest you do, if it's not for you, just bear with him. Yeah. Let him go through, because at the end, it'll be worth it. Yeah. And it really worked. You had a storming gig.
Yeah.
And so when I introduced you for Al Rudge's Wayward Ways in Stourbridge on the Ring Road, I used the same opening. Because if you go, right, the next act is a great act, you're going to love him. He's Roger Swift, he's come all the way from Telford. Yeah. You know, after a couple of minutes, they're going to go, what am I watching here? Yeah. But if you say, look, just stick with it, it'll come good. And it invariably does. It's a wonderful act. How did you get on with the gong shows?
Well, I actually had a pretty good record in them. I mean, I'm... Me in a gong show, I always see myself as the UK in a Eurovision Song Contest. I was the bridesmaid, hardly ever the bride. I was a couple of times. I won 4, and then I'm not exaggerating. I checked. I came second 16 times in a gong show, where I beat it and come second. Got gonged a few times. I mean, King Gong in London, I lasted 10 seconds, but then I've won it in Manchester. King Gong is like one of the most brutal gong shows.
The Comedy Store.
At the Comedy Store, yeah. There's the Manchester one and the London one, and I've done both. And that is brutal.
Oh, well, I've only been to the Manchester one, and that's very hard.
Manchester. You think Manchester's brutal? You haven't been to London yet. Oh God.
Just describe what a gong show is for the people that don't know.
Well, a gong show is. I was going to use a term there. It's like bearing for blood, essentially. What it is the audience are giving, random audience members are given cards or sticks or whatever, and if they don't like an act on the stage, they vote them off. It's like that. So you have to go on there and try and make an audience laugh, and you're going against. It's like Britain's Got Talent, but instead of professional judges, it's like for layman people. It's Britain, but instead of like the professional judges, it's people in the audience at random. And they're so random because it can depend on who's got the cards. You can be having a great gig, but if you've got someone in the audience who's got the cards who just wants to be a nasty person, I won't use the word I'd want to use here, but who just decides they want to be that way and just I'm going to card you, I'm going to card you. So it's not for everyone, but I will say I quite liked them because there was something. The adrenaline's quite good in it. I mean, they're not for everyone. But some acts, like I did them so much because I rather got off on it in a way because I sort of liked going against the clock because an act like mine kind of works in a way because they're not waiting for the punchline. It's so you're not giving them chance because I'm going bang 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 bang.
It's quite manic, isn't it?
It's quite manic, so it tends to not always because it's so there's no logic in it, but. Yeah. It tends to work quite well in a gong show, especially if someone's gone on their first gig before me and they haven't got to a punchline in the first 40 seconds.
Well, you've talked a lot on your Facebook post the next day about dividing the room.
Yeah.
So do you change your act? Do you try and address the people who are not going with it?
Well, this is something that the Edinburgh Fringe I find is very good for. It's a useful tool because you can learn how to do that because you can do so many gigs in a day if you know the right people, and I know the right person to get all the gigs up there. Masai Graham, good friend, if you're listening, Masai. Great goat. Great bloke. It's a good tool because you can learn what I call my asides. If they're not going with the puns, if they're not going with it, I've got some that are deliberate because I know they work, and it's basically adding my own running commentary on what I'm doing essentially. So if they're not going with it, I've got little tricks and things I can use, and I learn them all the time at the Fringe because you learn extra ones you throw in. You ad lib an extra one. I'm keeping that, but. If some people aren't going bored with it, I try and address them. I'll just look at it and go, this person doesn't get it, and things like that. If somebody's really on board with it, you just go, he's just staring at me, this bloke down here. He doesn't get what I'm doing. Yeah, I know they're awful, mate. I know what I'm telling are terrible jokes. Don't look at me like that. Stop giving me this. You don't. Oh God, you're dreadful, and you don't know it. I know. Just a little rant like that will sometimes win them round, and if it can be the ultimate success. And I've got a great video of me this Fringe just gone doing this where there was someone on the front row just stone faced just looking at me like at first I thought, do you speak English? You understand what I'm saying? And then he's just there going, this man's deluded, he doesn't know how terrible he is. He just, what is your mate? Don't you know you're awful? Don't you get what you're doing? You're telling horrifically bad jokes. And I just kept looking at him again, he doesn't get it. And eventually I did one, which I won't say, but it's the one with the spirit levels. That one.
Yeah.
And I got to that one and I did it, and then I got a massive laugh from the audience, and he pulled a smirk like this, like he couldn't help but acknowledge. He's like, I was like, oh,
you
God,
finally wore him down.
I wore him down. He's like, I can't not acknowledge that is a clever bit of wordplay there, and I did. I was like, yes,
A victory.
acknowledge that's
A
good
victory,
wordplay.
yeah.
It's like victory.
And how did the crowd react to that?
They love it. The rest of them who are on board are like really liking the fact that I've done it.
Yeah.
But I divide rooms because it's Marmite in the sense that you get on board with me or you don't. Some people will get on board with it, and some people won't. And it's not an exact science, but it's because some people. I'm not having to go at anyone here. Sorry, and not the mic. It's what's the people. Some people have a set mindset of what comedy is, and I'm not having a go. I'm not trying to walk on anyone. It's just that some audiences have that. Oh, comedy is Michael McIntyre. Comedy is Peter Kay. Comedy is Jasper Carrot. It's isn't it funny when your wife does this? And I'm not trying to discount it. That's a talent. I'm not saying that I don't. I like all kinds of comedy. I like to be broad. I like a good range. As a promoter, I like a range, but. Some audiences just have that lot mindset, and you can't break them out of it. When anyone alternative goes on, you can't break them from that mindset. And it's trying to, but some will and some won't. It's trying to break them down sometimes. But occasionally, I still get that. I still get the whole audience just this isn't comedy, mate. This isn't comedy. This isn't what we in our heads think comedy is. and we're not winning when you're not winning us, mate. So it happens less often now. I have other things I will try my hardest to try and wear them down and bring them in board. It's still, 2 out of 100 you will get that where they just you can't win them.
I think you're being a bit disingenuous to yourself by saying wearing them down.
Yeah.
I've seen your act, and it's not a.
Do your best.
No. It's not a war of attrition. It's just a likeable bloke with a ridiculously loud shirt.
It adds to it. It works. It fits.
And just going crazy manic balminess. And I think you've got to have a certain mindset to go with that.
Yeah.
But I think you shock people first of all.
Yeah.
They think, what in God's name
Yeah,
is
I like
this? Have I gone through the back of a wardrobe?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the shock. I like that shock face at first where they sort of like, what the hell?
Well, you're a very likeable personality. You're a very likeable person. And you don't take yourself seriously, although you take the art of comedy seriously. You don't take yourself seriously,
No.
and I think people can see that. And you're a genuine bloke.
Yeah. I'm not taking it seriously. I'm not going on the stage going, I'm Gary Delaney, these gags are amazing, because they're not. I'm not trying to claim that what I'm telling are amazing. They are, though, Gary Delaney. They're just amazingly good gags. Everything he says. Yeah. It's just that is such a brilliantly crafted gag. I'm not going on trying to claim that they are good gags. I'm just trying to do it in an ironic way, saying these are cringingly bad. But it's the fact that I know they're cringingly bad, and I'm trying to win it.
But you've mentioned Tim Vine, and I've got to say, love the bloke.
I do.
And you say he does an hour.
Yeah.
And
I do an hour. I've got an hour of it.
A load of those are cringingly bad.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
I know, that's what I mean. I will watch people like that, and I'll still cringe and go, "That's awful, but brilliant." A lot of it, yeah.
To use a bit of an analogy, you've used Marmite. I would say it's like putting Marmite on ice cream.
Yeah, I've done that.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
He loves Marmite.
I love Marmite. Yeah.
You are. I love Marmite,
Yeah.
but, come on. I don't have a wardrobe full of it.
I put it on ice cream and tried it. Don't do it.
I think I'm going to.
Don't do it. Don't. I've given it a go.
Is it that bad?
It's two incompatible flavours that just don't go.
So, talking about Marmite, it's time that we have a wee break. We'll look at the old adverts now and see what we were buying in yesteryear.
Morning, Henry.
Morning.
Wife and I got a new bush this weekend for the drawing room.
Bush for the drawing room. How interesting.
Yes, beautiful colour, you know.
That's blooming good.
And a fantastic design.
How very, very novel.
Remote control.
Remote control? Whatever will they think of next?
You can't beat a bush.
We've got a tree in our bathroom.
3 pints of milk cost around 35p. That's what you could be wasting every week if the jacket on your hot water tank is only an inch thick. In a year, that's £18 down the drain. So check your tank jacket, and if it's only an inch thick, put a thicker one on top. It won't stop the clothes airing, but it will put an end to a shocking waste of money. It's your money. Don't waste it. Save it.
Remember your very first soup bowl. Mr. and Mrs. Bunny outside their little house, and all the little bunnies hopping and chasing. And the soup, like a red waterfall tumbling into a tomatoey ocean. Remember how creamy it tasted? Well, it still tastes just as creamy, just as tomatoey, and there's still no other soup quite like it. Heinz Cream of Tomato Soup. You never forget the one you love.
Headache? Tense, nervous headache? Tension here, doctors tell us, can cause a sensation of pressure and so lead to pain. Laboratory-tested Anodin soothes away the pain fast. Remember, nothing acts faster than Anodin.
Ever wondered how birds' eye get a better green bean? Knowing when to pick 'em helps. We pick 'em young. Pick 'em at their juiciest. Pick 'em at their snappiest. And slice 'em longer and thicker to keep that delicious taste. You pick bird's eye sliced green beans, 'cause we don't half pick 'em.
It's my turn to operate.
Operate?
It's Operation the Mad Doctor's Game.
Take out his spare ribs for £100. Oh, you'll never do that. Don't touch your sides. Here goes his funny bone.
You need a very steady hand.
I did it. That's £200 for me.
Can I have a go?
Operation the Mad Doctor's Game from MP Games.
Dogs. Are they friend or foe? Should we love them or regard them as a public nuisance? Dogs on Trial, the big debate in tomorrow's Sunday Mirror. Fancy a big name at your party? It could be costly, but it's not impossible. Read about the great Rent-A-Star boom. The Pearly Princesses, a wonderful collection of royal pictures. Reunion, how adopted children are now able to trace their real mothers. Heartwarming stories. Should Clough become England's new team manager? The big names give their verdict in the marvellous Sunday Mirror tomorrow.
What makes a dumpling that's fluffy and light?
Look at your warmer.
What makes a pudding that's rich in every bite?
Look at your warmer. What makes a treacle put a tasty treacle treat?
What makes a Polly a whole lot rollier to eat you getting warmer?
Atora. A new handy Atora suet mix in a bag. They make lovely warming dishes.
You know how some panties wrinkle and crinkle and show through your clothes? Well, now there's new Super Look. A smoothing panty that's so smooth and stretchy, it fits pretty much like your skin. No wrinkles, no crinkles, no seams that show. Just a smooth look to even your clingiest things. New Super Look from Playtex. Panties that show off your clothes, not your panties.
What a sexy woman. It's Miriam Margolyes again, ladies and gentlemen.
What a babe.
So you're listening to the Nostalgia and Comedy Show on Black Country Xtra with me, Dave Dinsdale, Paul Jennings, and our special guest, Mr. Entertainment from Telford, Roger Smith.
Swift.
Swift. So you had a brush with television. What happened?
Well, that was before they sort of invaded it, but because everyone's done it now. But Britain's Got Talent, back when they didn't have a lot of comedians on it, it was just like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They rang me and tried to get me to go on it. Put simply, they rang me up and said
They rang you?
Yeah, they rang me up and said, "Do you want to go on it?"
So what was the deal? Did they offer you any money, any
No.
incentives?
They just basically said, "We'll fast track you," because normally they don't. There's a first audition that they don't show on the telly, and then they only want certain people on there, and then but they just said, "No, we'll just put you straight in front of the judges if you come and do it."
Really?
It was Birmingham, but it was like the next day, and I was like, "Well, for starters, I need to clean the set."
Is that straight in front of the judges in that side room or on the main stage?
On the screen. They said, "Well, just because we know that it's a polished act."
Yeah.
Is how they worded it. They said, "We know it's not, just someone I can count to 4 backwards. It wasn't just that. It was we acknowledge it's a polished act, and we're just looking for comedians because we don't have enough people kind of come on and doing comedy. So we think this is right. We think this is right for you. Right for you."
It's not really a show for comedians, isn't it? Is it? It's like doing a pub gig where you're supporting a heavy metal band.
That's a good way of analogy.
Which I think we've all done that at some stage.
Yeah. But they wanted me to do it the next day, and I was like, "Well, I've got to clean the set, and I haven't got dirty jokes in it, so I could only do clean ones anyway, so that would take me a while. So I'd want to go and do a set in an open mic and try do it without any...
Oh, did you see any type of contract?
No.
Because I know there's... one of the shows that they were giving an opportunity to the newer acts, you sign a piece of paper basically saying they owned you for the next 10 years.
I've seen that bit of paper.
And I think with Hughie Green on the original... Opportunity Knocks on the BBC and ITV, he did the same thing, and that was the job.
Yeah.
He was really signing you up for himself.
Basically, it's a contract that says if you do this, Simon Cowell owns you. Anything you put on social media, all your jokes, everything. Well, not Simon Cowell, but his production company, whatever. It's called Psycho, I think it's called. Not Psycho.
It is Psycho.
It's spelled, it's a pun itself, but it doesn't mean Psycho. Anyway, it's audio, you're not seeing it written down.
So you could have been the next Sinita?
No, she slept with Simon Cowell. I don't think Roger had to do
No,
that.
I have no...
Was that part of the deal?
No.
You said you've seen the contract?
No, it wasn't. Was
there a PS at the bottom?
No, there was just. It was just that he owns all your jokes. He owns all your anything. Even if you go on social media or tweet something, then effectively you or go book do anything. If once you're up there, that's it. Even if it's a yes, unless it's a no, in which case they then do release you from it, I think.
Yeah.
But then that was the thing. They didn't actually present that to me at the time. They just basically said, "Look, we're desperate for comedians, and we can see it's a polished act. We'll put you straight in front of the judges if you come and do it."
Okay. Well, there was an act many years ago. I think we've discussed him before. Roy J, the Spook Man.
Yeah.
And he was like that. He'd been doing the holiday camps and whatever for years, and was really big on television for 2 years. I think he was party to another show. He might have had his own show, and he was also part of the Schweppes.
I know you're talking about the guy
Advert
with the
campaign.
jail with the
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I think he did 2 years, and that was that. And ended up drinking his life away in Benidorm.
Yeah, I knew that actually. Yeah.
So, were you not tempted with the big offer of ITV greatness?
I was briefly tempted by it, but I decided no, because what it is it's they're looking at it what makes good TV, what's going to make good TV, and I think man going up and doing this and blowing the roof off could make good TV, but then man going up quote deluded man who thinks he's funny, he goes up with a load of props and the audience stare at him in silence and they laugh at him, not with him.
Is that how you saw yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think they would. The thing is, though, I know from somebody else, I won't say who it was, who'd already been on it once before. He was an impressionist. You might.
Well, he's doing very well.
He's doing very well.
Doing Panto this year.
But he'd already done it, and he said, "Well, what I can tell you is they edit it. They can edit it in any way they want."
Yeah.
He said, so even if you went up there and had a half-decent gig, they could still, if theoretically, you sign your life away, so they have the right. When it comes out on the TV, they might edit it to make it look like you were dying because it's funny. Because they'd had a few comedians on there, but I'll say they were basically open mic acts who agreed to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, and every one of them died. Like there was never anyone on there
Simon Cowell doesn't laugh at comedians.
No, he doesn't. No. He doesn't have it. I mean, my always thought was, well, that was the first year it was David Walliams. It was the first time David Walliams was on it, and I thought, would he get it? Would he get what I do? That was the only thing enticing me. I thought he might give me a yes. He might buy into it. But I don't. Simon Cowell is just going to hit. I was going to go my first guy. It's my old, and then straight away he's going. Nah. I could see that straight away.
Okay.
Just roll his eyes and do that. So.
Well, before we move on to your promoting side, because when we call you Mr. Entertainment of Telford, you really are. You are a performer and promoter as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tell us about your brush with the Edinburgh Festival.
Which one? I've had several.
All of them. I mean, how did it start? We know how it ended, but other people may not.
Well, again, Masai Graham bringing him up. He'd been doing it for a few years, and I never went because I didn't have the money. I knew going to do the Fringe was really expensive, so that's why I put off going at first. I went, I can't afford to do that. And then something happened I mean, you can edit this, but I was going to say my late grandmother passed away, and we sold her house, so I got some inheritance money. Yeah. So I thought, I can afford. I'll go and do half the Fringe. I wasn't going to blow. I thought I'll try and get it back, but as you do. But
so that's 2 weeks, is it? Two whole weeks.
I went up and I thought, well, I can do it now. I'll go and give the Fringe a go. I can finally go, and it was. And I went and did a two-hander show with another great actor called Patrick Draper. I'm sure you know.
I do. He beat me in a gong show. I do remind him every time. He said, "Get over it."
Yeah. He's the opposite to me. He's slow and deadpan, and we were good. We'd already hit it off, and we're always very friendly with one another. Yeah. And I knew he wanted to. But he didn't want to. He just came to me. I thought, because that's a contrast show. If we go on and do it. Someone deadpan telling stories and me energy, and that would make an interesting content for an hour. I didn't want to do an hour by myself, and nor did he.
Yeah.
So we had this idea, and we came up with the title "The Energy and the Apathy," which I thought was a great title.
So is this part of the Free Fringe?
Yeah. So we just went up and did the Free Fringe, but of course they stuck us. It wasn't even in Edinburgh because we could never done it before. They gave us a venue, but they gave us one that was like literally a Haymarket. If you know the Fringe is about location. It's all about where you are at the Fringe. Unless you're right in the city centre, you're wasting your time really. So we went and did it, went really far out, and you weren't getting audience, you were getting maybe people who just wanted to watch comedy. It wasn't really the Fringe.
A bit like a Ryanair gig.
Yes. It was essentially an open mic night, all day open mic night out somewhere else out. It wasn't really part of the Fringe. We went and did that for the last two weeks. But then I was doing, Masai Graham had a compilation show. He only had one then. He's got like 4 now, but he had like one compilation show in this that was in the city centre, and I went and did that as well, 10 spots of that to promote it. Because how the Fringe works is if you can get a compilation show is essentially like an open mic night crammed into an hour. You get like 6 or 7 acts on in a row, and with a compare, and it's essentially people who are just there wanting stage time, and people who just want to plug the show. If you liked a 10-minute sample of it, come and watch the hour. It's blah, 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 here it is. And then everyone ends their set like that. And I went and did that. And the first day I went to the Fringe, I'll never forget this. The first time I did it, first day, I went and did me out did our show, and I did me 20 minutes. Patrick had a good gig, and I went up there and absolutely bombed for 20 minutes, and had like, half the audience get up and just shake their heads and walk out. Just like, what the hell is this? And just walked out after like even though they'd liked Patrick. And so that was the first night. And I went back to where I was staying and cried. I cried myself to what the hell am I doing here? Why the hell am I thinking about doing... I'm not a comedian. What the hell am I thinking there? Right, I'm deluded. I'm so awful at this. And then I went the next day. I went, no. And I nearly got in the car and went home and said, screw it, forget the money. I don't care how much in the hole I am. I'm going home, forget it. I'm not doing the rest of the run. But I thought, it's one gig. So I woke up in the morning, woke up in the morning, went and did this Maasai's, it's called the Monster Comedy Show. It's called Monster Stand-Up Show. Went and did that and absolutely blew the roof off. It only did 10 minutes. And he said, I'll put you as the last act, because I know you leave props everywhere, so I'll put you as the last one in this, and absolutely blew the roof off. I was like, it's bad, the buzz. It's like a normal gig. This is like doing a normal gig. And then I went and did my 20 minutes and got completely, because every day in Edinburgh you get a different audience every day. Went and did that, had a full house, because it was the Saturday, I remember it was the Saturday that one, and had a full house and blew the roof off. Patrick had a bad gig that night, and then I went and did mine for 20 minutes and smashed it, absolutely loved it. So, and then I've had the bug ever since, and I've gone back every year and done the full run until COVID.
Right, so you do the 2 weeks the first time, so then you were booking the whole month.
Yep, and I thought I'm going up and doing the whole month, and I've been back and done the whole month ever since.
You don't mind doing the same thing every night?
No. You do the same 10 minutes as your preview in all the compilation shows, and then I went and did... I mean, the first time I did 20 minutes. The second year I didn't have an hour. They gave me an hour-long slot and I didn't have it, and they gave me an awful venue. Again, you pay your dues in Edinburgh. The second year, awful venue. And I didn't have an hour of material. Yeah, I thought I haven't got it. So I did 20 minutes and made it into a compilation show, and I thought, I'll stick like 2 or 3 people doing 10 in front of me. And it was, again, you'd have hit and miss days with that. And then the year after that, I thought, right, I'll go for it. I'll do an Edinburgh hour, in inverted commas, means you haven't... No one goes to watch an Edinburgh show and goes, I've just sat through this show and you did 47 minutes. It says an hour here. Go back on that stage and do another... If you can get to about 47 minutes and they don't leave, that's kind of a success on the free fringe.
So for people who don't know, explain what Edinburgh is like from a comedic point of view and also from a social point of view.
Well, from a comedic point of view, it's basically like doing doing a year's worth of open mics in a month. From a comedic point of view, imagine going around the country and doing that, and cram that into a month.
Yeah.
And you're doing several a day, and you're doing it all times a day.
And a lot of people talk about playing to a load of Japanese tourists.
You get a lot of that, yes.
So if you're dealing with people who are not English, does your act travel well? Because obviously you've got puns, but you've also got props.
Yeah, so that's the hit, and that's the fun of it. It's a roller coaster. You can have people who don't speak English staring at you, and then go around the corner, do a different compilation show, and have them like thinking the funniest thing ever, doing the exact same 10 minutes of material. Einstein once famously said, people who do the same thing over and over and expect a different result are mad. Wrong, Einstein. Wrong.
You learned it here first on Black Country Xtra.
In that, I can give you an example. I'm telling you, scientifically, yes, he's right, but in an artistic, objective way, I can give an example where he's not.
Okay. So tell us about what happened 2 years ago. So you were going up for a whole month and you were telling everybody this is going to be the big one. What happened?
That was 2017. It's the one I think you're thinking about.
Could be.
I think it was because of COVID, we didn't do it for 2 years. But it was about 4 years ago. I went up there. I paid my dues. I worked my way up, and then the Free Fringe had given me a reasonably decent venue. They gave me 2:30 in the afternoon, but it was a good venue. It was one of the better ones, a bit more central. I went, right, this is the one, and I got it in the book this time, because if you're not in the brochure, no one knows you're there. So you got a flyer. I got it in the brochure, everything, and then I was having a reasonably. Everything was going pretty much to plan. I wasn't packing it out. Apart from Fridays and Saturdays, I'd pack it out and would turn people away. And then the weeks I'd getting audiences, and I wasn't getting many walkouts, because I get walkouts, believe an hour of what I do. They'll sit there for the first 5 minutes and go. I've even got a great line when that happens. They'll come, watch it, and then after 5 minutes, shake their head and walk, and then they'll walk out. And as they were doing it, as they're walking out, I went, the show's called Machine Pun. It said in the brochure, man tells puns for an hour. What the What the F did you think you were going to get?
Nothing worse than pity at a comedy gig.
Yeah. What did you think you were going to get? So if you want a man who's talking about things his dad does for an hour, plenty of them. Go and watch one of them. Pretty much 90% of the shows is that. But I've lost my track now. Yeah. So that I was having a good fringe. And then I made the stupid mistake, which Tony Coward, I blame you for this.
Another pun comedian.
Yeah. He said, a good idea in the middle of the fringe. And the year before, he said, because the year before I hadn't had a break in the middle, he said, I had a bit of another one, I had a bit of a mental breakdown one day because I went for the whole thing without having a day off. And that drove me a bit mad. So he said, take a day off in the middle. Drive away from Edinburgh, go to the mountains, walk in the mountains, you'll clear your head, have one day in the middle, don't do any shows, have a great day, go up the mountain, have a walk, think about it, have a nice day, come back and you'll be refreshed and ready for the rest of the print. I said, that's a good idea. Went and did that, went off to the mountains, had a walk, I thought, stay at the top of a mountain in Scotland, lovely views, looked at the sky just for a few hours, just stared at the sky, clear my head, relaxed, almost Buddhist-like. Went back the next day, found out I've had this pain in my knee, like this. I woke up in the morning like, oh, what the hell? Couldn't even walk. And then I found out, and then I struggled on for 2 days, just like in agony, but still carried on gigging and everything, and was like just walking around the suitcase in agony, going, what the flipping hell have I done? But I thought, it can't be much. It must be a muscle or something. And then and the next day, it was starting to almost bleed. It was starting to swell up and go red, and I thought something's not right. Something's not right. So I went down to the A&E in Edinburgh. I thought I've got to go there next morning. Got it the next morning. I went, nah, I've got to find out this. I can't carry on like this. Went down there to A&E and I got cellulitis in my leg.
You got what? Sorry,
cellulitis.
Oh.
It's when you get infection under your skin, and it was right on my knee, right on the kneecap there. And
so what caused that?
I don't know. Even to this day, they think it's probably an insect bite is the most likely thing.
Okay.
I don't actually know. It's still a mystery how I got it to this day. And that was it. That was the fringe over. That was it. I mean, I had to go and I had to go into hospital every day and have antibiotic injections because they can't just give you pills. It's that severe. They have to inject it into you. So I had to go in every day and have injections into my arm. They were doing it to the arm, but it was to get the swelling down, which it did. It worked, but it takes ages and ages because it's really, it was really bad. I had to spend a night in the hospital. The first night I got there, they were like, "Oh my God, that's a severe infection."
That's what you don't know here when you go into the hospital. Don't show it me.
Yeah.
It's making you feel sick.
They were like,
that's horrible.
You're gonna have to spend the night. I had to spend the night in hospital. The next day, they said it's gone down. The swelling's gone down. It's enough. You can be an outpatient where you come in every day and add it. And that was the end of the fringe. But luckily, I was in Edinburgh. If I'd done it in my hometown, I don't know. It was a special thing. I don't know where I'd probably have to come to Birmingham every day or something because the place that dealt with it was actually the tropical disease place that actually deals with the department.
Well, you've got the shirt to go for it.
Yeah. And the thing is, that was another part of it is because I didn't anticipate any other thing else going on. I didn't take any other T-shirts or anything. All I got with me was the Hawaiian shirt. So I was in hospital every day because I got nothing else.
With the tropical disease.
With tropical disease, wearing an Hawaiian shirt, having this injection put into me.
Were they standing round you in these biological suits?
No, it wasn't like COVID.
Shaking
it wasn't
heads,
infectious. They said it isn't infectious.
They didn't get the vicar in to give.
No,
okay.
But they said if you don't have it, they said seriously, if you don't have that, if you hadn't come in and had that checked out what it was, and you just left it, eventually it goes even worse. And if you leave it, eventually you have to have your leg off. It will eat away at your skin and your knee if you leave it and don't get it treated. But I just thought it was like a muscle. I trapped a nerve or something at first.
So your last Edinburgh performance or not performance, what happened this time?
Right, this time I wasn't there. We didn't think there'd be a fringe because there wasn't one the year before. COVID was the first time in 40 odd years they cancelled the fringe. There wasn't one, so we all got no fringe this year. So August we spent at home. That was weird. But the next year we thought, as it was coming up to the January, the February, the March. They basically said, look, there probably won't be. We know there probably won't be a fringe, but if you want to risk it and put your name down and sit it out and see if there is, do it. And I was one of the, I would say, at the time, sensible people. Now I know idiot who basically said, nah, there's not going to be a fringe, forget it, I ain't going to do it. But some other people said, no, I'm going to sit it out until the bitter end if there's going to be a fringe or not. And then just as it started to happen, Nicola Sturgeon decided to release all the restrictions just as it was starting. And in the middle of July, they said, no, we're going to go for it, we're going to have a fringe. Yeah. Ended up being a mini fringe. It ended up being the Free Festival went from 40 venues to 4. decided to run with
So
it.
did you get a good venue?
So I didn't get a venue, but my friend Master Graham was running compilations. So they did it under COVID restrictions. They shortened, they put less shows on. There was half an hour between each show. It's to normally get a 15-minute window in between each show. They put half an hour this time. And then he decided, no, I'm going to stick it out. There's going to be a fringe. There's going to be a fringe. There's going to be a fringe. And it paid off. He was one of the ones that paid off for. And he got about all his compilations. So I decided to go up there. When he got them in July, he messaged me and said, "Oh, it's happening! They're going to do a fringe. It's only on a small scale, but they're doing the fringe. Please come up and do my shows. Please come up and do my shows." And I was like, "Oh, I've already agreed with work. I was going to be not going in August." So I went and said, "Can I have a week off?" They said, "All right, you can have a week." So I said, "I'll come up for the first week then and stay with you." And he said, "You can stay where I'm staying. You can sleep on my bed. Not my bed. You can sleep on my sofa." Edit that. "You can sleep on my sofa where I'm staying. I just want you to come and headline my gig. I'll pay you for them. I'm going to pay, so it's a freebie. I'll pay you whatever your expenses to come and do it because I'll make money anyway." And so I went up and did the first week. And because he's got the complete monopoly there, none of the names went. It was like there were audiences. We were getting audiences. Every day was full. Yeah. For these compilations. I wasn't doing an hour, I was only doing my 10 minutes at the end of each of these compilation shows. And I went up there, I was having a blast. I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." I was never having a bad gig. Every gig was going well. They were laughing. The audiences were there to laugh this time. And then it came away, killed me. I went, "Oh, I'd agreed to do a week. I'll come away." Went back down to work for a week, begged my boss, John, who you've met, begged him, "Can I go back up into the last week? Please, can I go up into the last week?" He said, "You can do the last 4 days." And all right,
sounds like John.
"You can go back up into the last 4 days." And then I wore him down, I said, "Can I go up into the last week? Can I go on the Monday into the last week?" And he said, eventually, he said, "All right, then off you go." It wore him down. I said, "All right, off you go." So I went and did the last week, went back up there. And again, it was wonderful. I was having great gigs. I was having belters, no real deaths. And then last day I'm there, suddenly started thinking, "Oh, I've got a bit of a sore throat coming here." You know where this is going. I'm having a bit of a sore throat here. So I hadn't got any Lensip or anything, so I got paracetamol with me. So I was popping paracetamol going, "Oh, I've just got a bit of a sore throat." Because I thought, because I'm shouting so much. Because of my act is loud. I'm shouting so much as I'm developing a thing. And then I got up in the morning, went to go home on the Monday morning, drove home. My nose starts running. Like I thought, "Oh, I've got a cold coming here." So I stopped into the services and bought some tissue. I'm driving home. Sorry for the mental image, people. I'm sorry. Driving home with a running nose, practically got tissue stuffed in my nose. Going, "Oh, I've got a bloody cold coming here." Got home. And first thing I said to my mum and walked through the door, I went, "Oh, I've got a horrible cold." "You've got COVID. Right, go and get tested. Go and get tested, son." I was like, "Yeah, but it's just a cold." "No, you're not coming in. You're not coming in. Go and get tested, Rod. Go and get tested."
Your mother said you're not coming in.
She basically said, no, she didn't say, she didn't put it like that. I'm not worried. She basically said, I demand, if you're living in this house, you have to go.
Unclean.
Yeah, I'm clean. It must. If that's COVID, we need to know. So I said, "Oh."
She had a big cross on your attic door.
Yeah, so basically, she's basically like, unclean. That's definitely, you might have COVID. I went, "Oh, it's just a cold." She was ultimately right. Yeah, you got a cold. So I was like, "Oh, fine. You've just been in Scotland. I bet you've got COVID. I bet you caught COVID." So like, fine. So I went on my computer, went on my tablet. I went, "Right, where's the local one?" "Oh, just down the road." Right, I'll book in, and there was no appointment. It's like, you can come pretty much now, anytime in the next 15 minutes, and have a test. So I went down there. I went, "Right, I've got a COVID test. Let's see." And then it's horrible. Let's stick a bloody finger. Sorry,
second strike.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to stick a horrible thing up your nose and all around your tonsils, and they say, "Right, we'll let you know in 24 hours if it's things." So I rang my boss at work and said, I might be COVID. I think it's a cold, but it might be COVID. Yeah. So I might not be in tomorrow if it's positive, and I've got to come isolate for 10 days. Next morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, ping, 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 positive. "You have COVID. You are now in house arrest for the next 10 days.
Where were you sleeping at this time? In the shed?
No, I was sleeping I live in my mum and dad's attic, so I was sleeping.
So your mum let you back in the
house? Yes,
right.
But she kept away. She's like shutting all the doors. "Keep away." So I went upstairs, and she was like, "I'll leave your food at the bottom of the stairs. I'm not getting near you in case it's COVID." Because I mean they were both double jabbed, but it's like, "Oh, okay, no, I'm not coming near you."
Did she have a cattle prod from?
No, I'm exaggerating for comic effect, but as soon as I came through, I was like, "It's positive." She's like, "Right, you stay up there. You're not coming down." So I basically locked in my room for the next 10 days.
Tough love.
There were a few comedians who came back from Edinburgh this year who seem to have gone down with it.
Every single one of them, our little clique, our little group, I was there with everyone was tested. I messaged him because I had to by law. Say, look, I've got to come down with a test. You'd have to get a test, and every single one of them, bar one, my side Graham, came back as positive.
He
in
must
the
be
end.
taking some medication
He'd had
that
it before.
looks after him.
He'd already had it, I think. He said, "I've already had it." So, yep, I've had the woo flu.
So going off comedy then, and on the woo flu, how did it affect you? And is there any post-COVID problems?
No, I'm all right now. Actually, it's starting to. I haven't.
So
really
did you lose the sense of smell?
I completely lost my sense of smell.
Yeah.
The thing I had more than anything was runny nose, and a sore throat. Didn't have any temperature, no temperature whatsoever. I kept checking my temperature, I got for and nothing. It was normal, but I had utterly no taste. Just I couldn't taste anything, couldn't smell anything, and I was going around like picking up the soap bottles and smelling. Couldn't smell a thing. And I couldn't taste Marmite, which is like the most...
Oh, no.
I thought, that's strong. Surely I can
Poor
taste that.
Roger.
And I couldn't... That's an example, because it tells you to try things that have got a strong taste, which that has. And I couldn't... Like, nothing else. Like, eating was nothing. All I was doing was just fueling myself, because I was just putting... I was just like, well, there's no point in giving me anything nice to eat. You might as well just give me soup and crackers and things, because I can't taste anything. It was just liquid and just... So that was the main symptom, and lightheadedness and fatigue. I was like really tired all the time.
How long was you like that for?
Everything else went apart from the lightheadedness, which is only really finally just touch wood gone. I was like even after the thing is
what's
like,
that? That's 2 months then.
Yeah, it took about 6 or 7 weeks for it to. It wasn't all the time. I'd only get it in periodically in some parts of the day, mostly in the morning. By the afternoon, it's sort of gone a bit. It was hard to. I didn't like driving with it. I didn't like going driving, but it's just about all right now.
Wow. Roger Swift, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
What a great act.
Fantastic.
And time has beat us again,
Can I
I'm
do
afraid.
one pun before I...
Well, since it's you, you can.
I haven't done anything from the actual out. I can do a clean one. In 2016, this was the 12th best gag of the Edinburgh Fringe, according to Dave. I was following a Marmite lorry down the motorway. It was heading eastbound. Yeah. Tumbleweed.
I would have gone wild.
Yeah. 12th best gag of the Fringe, according to Dave, in 2016. That was.
Wow.
So, what's your next gig?
My next gig will be on Monday in Leamington Spa. My first one back since the Fringe. I'm finally going to get back on the road.
Black Country Xtra.